Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie, and one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
Your teen requested a ride, but this time not from you. It's through their Uber teen account. You drive your teenager around, a lot, to their friend Jacob's house, their other friend Jake's house, to James's, to Jaden's, to Jalen's, to...
Mom? This is Jake's house, not Jacob's.
Now with an Uber teen account, your teen can request a ride under your supervision. They'll ride with a highly rated driver, and with live trip tracking, you'll follow along the whole ride to their friends' houses that all sound the same. Add your teen to your Uber account today. See app for details.
Bye, Mom.
He's your brother. Do you guys have a good relationship before this?
We have a good relationship now. This is business. That's
maybe you guys shouldn't do business.
We have a good relationship now.
When was the last time you talked to him?
If he had a talk, I'm over there. I'm over to his house now, living over there while I'm selling my house.
This is the plaintiff, Shirley Hardiman. She says the defendant's her older brother, and he works on air conditioning units. She hired him to fix her knocking furnace. He misdiagnosed the problem and made her purchase an expensive new motor when that wasn't the problem, and she wants her money back. That's right, brother or no brother, he wasted $300 of her money, and she's suing him for it. This is the defendant, Adele Hardiman. He says the plaintiff insisted he install a new motor in her furnace. So to make her sister happy, he did. He also needed to replace her thermostat because it was causing mixed signals to be relayed to the furnace. And now he's being sued? Some sister. He's accused of not fixing things right.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
The People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Hardiman, you are suing your brother, Mr. Hardiman, for $300 that you say he owes you because he did a repair in your furnace and it was unnecessary because it didn't solve the problem. Tell me what's happening.
Okay, I called my brother. It was a knocking on my furnace, and I called my brother because he does air conditioning to come over and take a look at it. So he was going to walk me through it, tell me what to look for and stuff like that. He was telling me, he said, I'm going to save you some money. I told him, I said, no, I just want you to come out and take a look at it yourself. He says, well, it's going to be a $40 service charge. So I told him, come on out. He came out, he was out there.
Does he work for himself or someone else?
He works for himself.
And how far is it that he came on out to look at your unit?
Probably about 25-minute drive.
Seriously? And he charged you a service charge for your sister? Jeez, dude.
Actually, the fact that she told you $40 is incorrect. I charged $70, and it's a 45-minute drive from Blue Spring to Overland Park.
So you told your sister, yeah, I'll go check out your furnace, sis, but I'm going to charge you $75?
No, 70.
70. Do you ever visit her or no?
Yes, I do. We do.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
He did not tell me that it was $70. I would have paid him $70 for the service charge.
You would or you wouldn't have?
I would have.
Okay, well, how much did you pay him?
$40.
Okay, so go on.
So when he came out there, he was out there 15, 20 minutes, and he said, well, I can't stay out here because I got other things to do. So I paid him.
You paid him what?
The $40.
Okay.
Service charge, even though I didn't get anything for it because he didn't.
Well, what did he say was wrong?
He didn't. He said he can't tell me what's wrong because he didn't hear anything. during the time that
okay.
he was there. But I had explained to him it was not just doing it on a constant. It was periodically.
Right. So cannot duplicate customer complaint.
So.
Right.
Okay. So I recorded it, and the knocking, I recorded and then sent it to him and told him, you can listen to it then, and maybe you can figure out what the problem is. So to me, if he had taken the time when he came out there on service call and to listen to find out what the problem was, then we wouldn't be here.
Okay, but let me ask you, but how long do you expect the guy to stay there? If it's intermittent, should he be there 12 hours? Like, how long would he?
No, but 10, 15 minutes, you know.
Well, let's say he had stayed 45 minutes and it didn't make the noise, because you said it was intermittent, it wasn't happening.
Yeah.
So what's he supposed to do?
Well, I felt he could have stayed longer.
Yeah,
but,
all right. So now you give him a videotape, an audio tape of the noise, and what's he say?
He's saying that he cannot hear it, but I can hear it on my phone.
Okay, so what happens?
So he comes back out there.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
All right. Does he charge you another service charge?
No.
Okay, so he goes back out there, and what's he do?
This time he tells me he hears a noise. He tells me it's the motor on the capacitor in the furnace. He said it needs to be replaced. So he sent me paperwork saying for the service charge, material, and the motor is going to cost me $300.
To have it installed?
For him to install it.
Right.
He told me, he says, well, it's going out. That's what he told me. He said, it's going out. He says, but I'm going to go ahead on and order it. So when it goes out, then I'll have it on hand. I can come on out there and put it out. So he told me to open the doors of the furnace and get the model number, the serial number, and the make of the furnace so that he could order the motor.
Right, and he does, and then he comes to your house with the motor, and what? So now he's a third time there.
Yeah.
Does he install the motor?
Yes.
Does he still hear the knocking?
Yes. You still
so if he still hears the knocking, what does he?
No. He installed the motor and he left. I paid him $300.
Did you end up hearing the knocking?
Yes.
How much later?
Later on that day.
And what
night.
do you call him and you tell him it's still knocking?
Yes.
And what's he say?
Well, he says, well, I think it's the thermostat. He said the thermostat's got too much on it. I mean, you need to delete some of the...
Reset it to factory settings?
Yes.
Okay.
Delete some of the
settings of on and off.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. That did not work. So I told him that did not work. He says, well, the thermostat needs to be replaced then. So he says, I'm going to come out there and replace the thermostat. He came out there and replaced
So he came out a fourth time?
He came out a fourth time.
Okay.
So I paid him $50 this time. Well,
did that solve the problem?
That solved the problem.
Okay.
Yes. But see, what I'm saying is if he
had said it's a thermostat at the beginning, you wouldn't have been out the $300.
Exactly.
Okay, now let me hear from you, brother, Mr. Hardiman.
Well, part of her story is correct. The other part of it has flaws in it. Surely she asked me to come over and check the toilet because it was loose. So I come over there with my assistant, Hazel Booker, and I take the toilet up, find the flange is broken, I repair it at the same time that sort of listen to the furnace to see if any kind of noise may take place. Nothing. And I text her and tell her I haven't heard anything yet. So once we fix the flange to check for leaks, I sent Hazel downstairs with a light in the basement to check to see if anything's leaking. She said, no, nothing leaking yet. So I flushed it again. Nothing's leaking. So I tell Hazel, stay upstairs. I'm going down and check myself to make sure everything is fixed on this here. So once I go downstairs and check for leaks, have Hazel upstairs flushing the toilet, I do hear some noise. I text Shirley and tell her I do hear a noise. However, I have a capacitor on my truck. I'm going to put a capacitor here, no charge.
So you put in a capacitor, the flux capacitor. I can never hear the word capacitor without saying flux capacitor.
It's like a battery to boost the...
But all right, so you boost it with the capacitor, and then what happens?
Help it start. And it seems like it's running okay.
But then she calls you and tells you it's knocking.
About a day or two later, she called me and tell me it's making a noise. I said, okay, I'll come over there and check it out, see what's going on with it. So I pick up the motor just in case it is the motor.
Right.
So I get over there, and now I'm physically checking the motor to see if that's the problem. And then I tell her, I said, the motor is not the problem. And then she get this sad look on her face and everything. And then I tell Hazel I'm gonna tell Shirley that I will go and put the motor on. That's a brand new motor to make Shirley happy, to appease her.
Why would you? Okay, but I don't understand. Like, if it's not the motor, then why bother? Why not just return the motor you bought?
Because that's just the factory motor and everything there, and since the intermittent, it's not making a noise all the time. There's a little slight possibility it could be the motor.
That
but
it still
I doubt
could be
it.
the motor.
Right, but I don't.
Okay.
I don't. As far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't have.
All right, so you change a motor, now she has a new motor.
Right.
Right, and then it turns out the knocking continues, and then you change the thermostat. She'd like to know why the thought of changing the cheaper thing didn't come up first. I'm just asking.
But the thermostat seemed to be working okay at the time. The thing about it, I didn't discover until after I put the new motor on there, the thermostat was all messed up.
Why, though? Isn't that exactly why you buy one of those units?
If it's an old thermostat and everything, it wasn't working.
What's old, the Nest or something
Right, the Nest thermostat, yes.
You know, he's your brother. Do you guys have a good relationship before this? Like,
We have a good relationship now. This is business. That's
maybe
why
you guys shouldn't do business.
We have a good relationship now.
When was the last time you talked to him?
If he had a talk, I'm over there. I'm over to his house now, living over there while I'm selling my house.
Is he charging you rent?
No, but
why are you suing? What is wrong with people?
This is business.
Ask her why.
If he
Ask her
had-
why she's
Why
there.
aren't you paying rent? Ask her why what?
Ask her why she's there.
Why are you at his house?
The house is getting sold.
Which house?
This house I was living in.
Okay, so why did you want me to ask her that?
Well, that's partially true, too, but I'm going to leave that alone. That's a whole other story.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. When you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well. Angie's been connecting homeowners with skilled pros for nearly 30 years, so we know the difference between done and done well. Hire high-quality, certified pros at Angie.com.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. With over 122 million parts, you can make sure your number one ride or die stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time. Plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply.
He's going way off on the other things.
Oh, Judge, can I ask you something? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like you to say something.
Okay. I took the motor over there just in case there was a problem with the motor. But like I said, to appease her, that's why.
But I don't think you should be appeasing her. If you know it's not the motor, then return the motor. How much did the motor cost?
$152.
Right, so you return the motor, and then you don't have to install the motor. You don't appease like she's a nut gaslighter and make her pay for something that you knew. See, you're telling me you knew it wouldn't work.
I don't think it's the motor's the problem.
That is not what he said.
Yes, I did.
Well, I think it's worse for you that you said that. If you actually know the motor isn't going to do it, I just want to appease her. I want to make her happy. She looks so sad. I wanted to make her. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, I don't want to lie to by anything. I'm gonna say.
I understand, but then you know.
Look, when he did install the thermostat, and it worked. I told him then, I said, I want my $300 back. I said, because you had me to pay for a motor.
Yeah, but now he can't return it because it's in there.
Right.
Yeah, but apparently he didn't know what the problem was. He was guessing, and
right. So don't hire your brother to do that kind of work in your house because it's awkward.
No.
You're living in his house rent free. The whole thing is just killing me.
He told me to bring him to court. That's why we're here. I said, can I get my $300 back? He says, no, take me to court. So we're here.
I said, I don't mind going to court. Get it correct.
And then what? And then he locks the door on you today and you have nowhere to live?
No.
He would never do that.
That's not gonna happen. But it's business to me. That's why if he had told me he was gonna charge $70 service charge, I would have paid him. When he installed it, like he said, when he came out there after he came out there.
Okay, stop talking. I'm ready. I can't. You know, like the thought that I would sue my brother, that I would take my brother to court. My brother's a contractor. The thought that I would take my brother to court over something I asked him to do when I'm living on his couch.
No. I just been over there this week.
Yeah, no. It's I am a guest in his house for the last week.
You know what?
Like, it's crazy.
You know what he told me about being a guest in his house?
What?
I told him, I said, well, I guess I won't take you to court because I'm living over here. He said, no. We're gonna go settle this.
That's what he did.
That? Okay, wait. I love this. Did that happen?
I said, no, he's going to take the court because I want her to settle this thing. We want to settle this thing. I don't want her to keep saying, well, you did me wrong. So
right.
Once you make a judgment.
You want me to just make the judgment and then the two of you can move on, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That'd be good.
Right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to make the judgment. Normally in a case like this, when that side, first of all, normally in a case like this, that side is not the sister of that side. But normally in a case like this, I say, listen, you know, this is hard work. You think this will solve it. It's probably going to solve it. It's a good practice to change the motor because it's probably going to solve it. He doesn't know until afterwards that it's not going to solve it. So I'm not going to hold that against him. And by the way, you have a new motor in there. That's what I'd normally say. But I have a case where you are looking at me in the face and telling me I knew the motor wouldn't solve it. And I knew that, and I'm the expert. And at that point, I could have returned it and not bothered to install it, so then I wouldn't have wasted labor and I wouldn't have wasted the part. But I knew her motor was fine, but then I did it to appease her. You're wrong then. Normally you wouldn't be wrong, but you're so wrong if you're the expert and she's relying on you and you just wanted her pretty face to be smiling. $300 verdict for the plaintiff. Good luck, folks.
Thank you.
Oh, my
All right,
gosh.
guys, stay right there, please.
Okay.
So the judge says the plaintiff is right. She's going to get her $300 back from her brother. This brother-sister dispute. Mr. Hardiman, let me ask you, this settles the issue. You wanted to come to court and settle it. Are you satisfied now?
I'm okay with it.
I got to ask you, your sister's staying with you right now. Is that right?
That's correct.
Did you come to court together in the same car?
No.
Okay,
Just
all right. Well, I'm sorry, but thank you very much. You got to give the money back. That's what the judge has ruled.
All right. Thank you.
Ms. Hardiman?
Hi.
Let me ask you how you feel. I guess you're happy now then,
Yes,
aren't you?
I am happy. You know.
All right. What's going to happen when you see each other back? Well, you'll see each other outside the courtroom, I guess. When you go home tonight, will there be peace in the house?
It's not personal. That's my brother. I love my brother. This was business.
I know you do.
This was business.
Okay.
So, you know, I felt like he knew what he was doing. I didn't tell him to order a motor because I don't know anything about a furnace. So he took it upon himself to say that was a problem, ordered the motor, and it was a waste of my money. So that's why we're here.
Yeah, okay. Question is, you've won. Now, you going to rub it in on him when you get home with him tonight?
Yes.
Yeah, you are.
Yes.
I'm not surprised. Mm-hmm. Well, this is really rare. All right, congratulations to you. You did the right thing, and good for you, okay?
All right, thank you.
All right.
So, Doug, for a second, let's forget about the fact that this is brother and sister, because it really does complicate things. If you hire a contractor to do a job, and the contractor is an expert at what he's doing, and by him charging, he should be an expert, or if she is charging, she should be an expert. The reality is this, that the contractor has a duty to inform the customer if the repair that the customer thinks he or she wants isn't going to fix the problem, or if it's an unnecessary repair. That is on the contractor, and ultimately, when push comes to shove, the judge generally will side with the customer.
We had water coming through our backyard retaining wall. In the past, our neighbor's irrigation system leaked and caused a problem. They said it was off this time. We tried filling in the dirt behind the wall and other things to stop the water, but it kept coming. We finally had a leak detection company come out. With their permission, he checked the neighbor's property, and it turned out their irrigation system was still on and leaking into our yard. Are they responsible to pay for the leak detection costs?
In this situation, there's what's the right thing, what should you do, and what are you obligated to do? I would submit that no, they're not obligated to pay for the leak detection. They should pay for it. I have to imagine that the neighbor whose wall was getting damaged and had the flooding coming under it was pretty desperate if they hired a leak detector and said, hey, check on their side too, and then got permission to go over there and check. So, yeah, you should pay for it. But you've damaged their fence already, apparently, or you've done some damage to their property.
If I had a case in front of me where they were suing their neighbor for whatever damage happened because of the water,
you might include that.
I would include
as damages.
that as a damage.
Right.
The fact that they had to prove that it was happening is a cost of the litigation.
Right.
And
but it's going to take a lawsuit to get them to pay.
It's going to take a lawsuit to get them to pay, but I think they should pay. And I think I would find that they had to pay because in this case, it's not because remember, let me just finish because it's not that for once you're interrupting me. It's not that he had no clue. He actually said, the neighbor actually said, oh no, the irrigation system's off.
Right.
And then that turned out not to be true. It was on.
Right.
So that's kind of careless.
But the neighbor who is asking to get compensated could have asked, hey, will you split the cost with me or will you pay for it? If
there's always a better way to do this than a lawsuit.
Right.
It's always, you know. Yeah.
Right. Is that going to be included in damages? I can understand the argument for including it in damages. I don't know whether I would or not.
I think I would give it.
All right.
This podcast is supported by Progressive, a leader in RV insurance. RVs are for sharing adventures with family, friends, and even your pets. So if you bring your cats and dogs along for the ride, you'll want Progressive RV insurance. They protect your cats and dogs like family by offering up to $1,000 in optional coverage for vet bills in case of an RV accident, making it a great companion for the responsible pet owner who loves to travel. See Progressive's other benefits and more when you quote RV insurance at Progressive.com today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Pet injuries and additional coverage and subject to policy terms.
This is the plaintiff, Rochelle Ascona. She says she went to contract with the defendant and rented her catering hall for a wedding reception. A month later, the woman tells her she's having problems with the city and is going to move her party to another location. Well, that room was in the basement. She didn't like it at all. And when she asked for her deposit back, the defendant refused. This is an outrage, and she's here suing for the return of her hard-earned $1,500. This is the defendant, Amaline Paniagua. She says she was ready, willing, and able to provide catering services to the plaintiff. She found her a larger venue because she wanted to add to the guest count. And she's sorry, but deposits simply aren't refundable for any reason whatsoever. She's accused of switching things up. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $3,000 for the remaining balance on the contract and defamation.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says that she signed a contract to have her wedding at the defendant's venue, but the defendant said it had to be at another venue. Plaintiff wants her money back and hasn't gotten it so far. But the defendant says the plaintiff wanted to have more guests than originally planned, and she needed to move her party to a larger place. It's the case of here comes the lawsuit.
Thank you, Doug.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Ascona, oh, you can put your hand down. Ms. Ascona, what happened?
Okay, so I'm Gary Murray. I was looking for a place so I can do my celebration. I found her information on Facebook, and I decided to contact her. I called her, and we met in her place, and she offered us like a good combo. It was the place, the whole venue, and the decoration.
All right, when you say I met her in her place, what place did you meet her at? Did you meet her at the actual proposed venue?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you got to see the venue?
Yes, of course.
And you liked it?
And I like it. I love, yes.
Yeah, okay. And what area of town was it in?
In Newark.
Okay, so go on and tell me what happens. You agree and you end up paying a $1,500 deposit, correct?
Yes.
All right, and then what happens?
Okay, the same day I signed the contract and I sent her the $1,500. And 2 days after, I text her to ask her how she's gonna organize the tables.
Right.
And then she texts me back, and then I text her in April and she didn't answer. So that's like a whole month later. And I text her again on May 5. She didn't even answer. So I decided to call her. And when I called her, I was actually calling her to see how the things were going. And then I also wanted to ask her if I can add 10 more people to the contract.
Right.
And when I called her, she said like, oh, I was about to call you because I have some problems with the city. And she told me that the city closed the venue and she couldn't even like offer
Why hadn't
me the
she
venue
called you
anymore.
though? Why hadn't she called you? Did you ask her that?
I didn't ask her that. I just trying like to see what we can do because I wanted to have that place because I like it.
So what did she do? Did she tell you, I have this other venue?
Yes, she told me like, oh, I found another venue. It's in Montclair, and I told her, okay, so send me the location, send me the pictures so I can see it, so I can show it to my mom and my fiance, so we make a decision.
Right.
And she sent me the pictures and the location, but the place was like 40 minutes away from the actual one.
Oh, really? 40 minutes?
Yes.
Wow,
so
okay.
I was like, no, it's too far in the first place. And when she sent me the pictures, you can see that it's a basement because you can see the windows are on the top. And you also can see the stairs that's going down. I'm not saying like it's something wrong with the basement.
It's just not what you picked.
Exactly.
Okay,
it's not
so
what I
you want your $1,500 back. I understand your lawsuit.
Yes.
I'd like to understand your defense, Ms. Paniagua. Why won't you return her money if the place she picked was unavailable? And why was it unavailable? Why did it become unavailable? What happened?
Okay, so the venue became unavailable because of circumstances outside of my control.
Such
I
as?
was renting the space. I was renting the space, so it's in a strip mall. And my landlord wasn't completely honest about the type of business that could be in the strip mall.
Why couldn't you continue to be there? What did the landlord tell you was the reason?
He was going to be continually fined because that type of business the area is not zoned to have that type of business there.
Did he not know this beforehand? I mean, how many times does a man have to be fined before he realizes that there's something wrong?
Unfortunately, whether he knew this or not is not information that I have. I was a tenant there for almost 3 years. I signed a lease with him shortly before COVID hit. And while we were in the process we received a temporary approval from the city.
Right.
While we were in the process of getting the paperwork done. And then COVID hit. And so my business was directly impacted by COVID and was shut down for almost 2 years. So I wasn't hosting events there for nearly 2 years until the beginning of this year.
And then you start hosting events and then he gets fined. And I presume you also weren't paying rent for those 2 years, right?
Yes, those 2 years we weren't paying rent because we weren't functioning.
Right. I hear what you're saying that, really your landlord kind of goofed because he rented to someone who can't open up there and he feels that you should have known it and you feel that he should have known it. Whatever it is, this happens. I don't know if it's outside of your control, if you don't know whether you can open up a business in a certain zone or outside of your landlord's control. I know the one person who it's not in their control is the person who you rented the place to. So you move and you offer her a venue that's 40 minutes away?
No, so let me explain. So the contract that we signed was a contract, it was a bundle deal. She was receiving the venue and she was also receiving decor. And so when they came to me, I explained to them that I charge a lot more to decorate weddings. But because, it was early in the year, it was March, her wedding was scheduled for July. My calendar still wasn't very booked for July. I wanted to help them. I gave them a really good, deal for both venue and decor.
Which was how much?
That was in March.
Which was how much?
It was $3,500 in total.
Okay.
And then there was $150 for a bartender that they were going to be hiring under my company as well.
Okay.
And so they received the package deal. She sends me a deposit for $1,500. A couple of days later, like she says, she reaches out to me. I respond to her, the number of tables and what's included.
Now, she says that there was you ghosted her for about a month and a half. Is that true?
I didn't ghost her. In my defense, when events are not immediately happening,
you ignore them?
Sometimes not ignore them, but I'm just focused on the events that are at hand.
I know, but not responding at all is ghosting and ignoring. It's not saying, listen, I have an event this weekend. I've got to focus on that. I'll call you Sunday or I'll call you Monday. It's literally just not answering for a month and something. But in any event, when you do connect, you tell her, oh, I'm glad you called because I got to tell you something. Your venue's not there. And what? And then she says, well, okay, let me see your new venue. She sees it and she doesn't like it. It's too far for her. How far was it? Was it 40 minutes away?
So from the Newark location to the Montclair location, it's 20 minutes.
Right, but it's a difference between people having to drive 20 minutes or having to drive 40 minutes. That's a haul. But aside from that, I don't care if the walls are just a different color. The point is that's not what she rented. So why wouldn't she get her money back?
Here is where the miscommunication begins to occur. So in May, when she reaches out to me, I was actually in the process of, I had just found out that I was no longer going to be able to be at the venue. The landlord tells me you have until May 31st to move. So we're already in the first week of May. And I'm like, Lord Jesus, what am I going to do? Not only about her, but about my other clients that I had already booked the venue out for the next coming months. And so I desperately begin to look for another place to run my business. And so a couple of days later, by God's grace, I find a place in Montclair. And I hadn't reached out to her because I was dealing with that. So I can accept that was a completely my fault and I should have reached out sooner. But I wanted to reach out to her when I had something.
My question, though, is once you do talk to her, you tell her what?
So this is what I say to her. I say to her, hey, I'm sorry I hadn't reached out. I'm glad that you're reaching out because this is the situation. Unfortunately, I don't have the venue. I am moving to this location. This is what it looks like right now, but I do have to do some reparations. I'm going to add a couple of lights. It's going to be nicer. It does accommodate your number of guests. I said, this is an option. However, if you don't want my venue, there's still a balance on your contract, which you were going to pay me for the venue. I said, you can pick any venue of your choosing. You can pick any location close to you, in Newark, in Elizabeth. I will service you the part of the decor.
What if but here's the problem. What if the venue she chooses has their own person who services and does their decor? Or what if she's lost faith in you because this issue happened and, because she doesn't know you from a hole in the wall and she hires you because she likes what she hears at the meeting and she loves the place. And how do you know how much of what she picked had to do with the place? So, like you said, it was a package deal and you're breaching the contract, but then she wants her money back and you're like, no refunds, read the contract. But the contract doesn't just work for you, it works for her too. Right? Exactly. So you have a counterclaim against her for $3,000. What is that for?
So she and I were communicating. She tells me that the venue, she did think the venue was nice, but she was actually reaching out to me to add more people to the contract. So initially she didn't tell me that she disliked the venue. They never even came to see the venue in person, which was also an alternative, but they never came to see the space in person.
Yeah, they didn't really have to. The space, by the way, she said the space was beautiful, it was fine, that would do. It's just that it's an additional 20 minutes away, so it's now 40 minutes away. That's a difference. That's a big difference. But I don't even care if it's next door. It's a difference. Like if I rent a venue, you give me that venue. And if you're shoving something else down my throat, please, it's very hard for you to say, I'm going to pick and choose what I want enforced in the contract. You're the one who's breaching it because it's not the place you rented.
So I said to her, the remaining balance that's on the contract, instead of you paying me for a venue.
Right. No, I understand that. That would be something that would work out for you if she picked it, if she said, yeah. But what if she doesn't want to because she no longer trusts you or because whatever? I want that severely limits what venues I can choose. There are many venues that make you use their own cooks. So that could be an issue. So in any event, what was it you told her when she suggested that to you, Ms. Ascona?
She didn't even give me the option to me to say like, yes, I want this place or I don't want it. She just say like, oh, here's the contract and you have to do the contract because you can break the contract.
Right.
And I was like, but you have to give me the option if I want that place or if I don't want it.
Right.
The option.
Okay.
Because you're changing the whole thing.
Right. I understand that.
Say, like, you're breaking,
but did she ever tell you, okay, pick your own venue and I'll do the catering and the decorating? Did she offer you that?
Yes, she offered to my mom, and she sent me a list of what she's going to include in the thing. But anyway, if she do it that way, it's gonna be more expensive because I have to look for another venue. I have to look for chairs. I have to look for tables. I have to look for everything else. It's not gonna work because I'm paying her $1,800, and just for the decoration is too much.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
Plus the venue, plus the chairs, plus the food, because she's not doing the food. She's just doing the decoration.
Here's the deal, Miss Baniao. I'm sorry because I know that this was difficult for you. And I understand that maybe you entrusted the landlord with knowing whether or not your business would be legal there. I'm sure the landlord thinks that he entrusted you with whether or not the business would be legal there. Either way, Ms. Ascona gave you $1,500 in order to have her wedding there, and you're the one who breached, and you have to return her money. You don't get to offer solutions that work for you but don't work for her. She doesn't have to accept that. So I am ordering you to return the $1,500. And then, oh, by the way, you're suing for the remaining of the contract, which of course you're not going to get for the reasons I just said, but also for defamation. How did she defame you?
So shortly after speaking with Ms. Ascona, she stopped communicating with me, and her mother took over, basically attacking me and saying, "We want our money back. We don't trust you."
That's not attacking you. That's we want our money back. We don't trust you.
It was pretty aggressive. It was pretty aggressive.
Right, but that's not defamation. How did she defame you?
So she took to Facebook. She took to my Facebook page. I have been in business for 6 years now. I have quite a bit of a following. And so
how many followers do you have?
I have close to 2,000 followers on my Facebook.
And what does she say on Facebook?
On Facebook, she just publicly wrote a comment about how I stole her money. And she said a few disrespectful things, and then she took to Facebook
if you want to sue for defamation, first of all, you have to sue the person who defamed you. And if the person who defamed you is her mother, then you can file a lawsuit against her mother. But if you don't tell me what she said, I can't even tell you whether a judge is going to find that to be defamation. What did the mother say? Yeah.
I can pull it up here.
Okay, so she's basically, there's not one thing she's saying other than that you need to return my $1,500 and that you've got a lot of nerve because descaradamente you say that oh, by the way, I'm just moving your wedding to Montclair, and that's not okay because some guests won't drive that amount of time, and now people won't show up at the wedding, and that's not up to you, it's up to my daughter, and return her money. What's wrong with that? They're right, you're wrong. Okay, and then they're complaining that you're wrong and you won't return the money. There's a budget for a wedding and you're keeping half of it while she's still got to plan a wedding. I mean, yeah, they're mad. I don't blame them for being mad. You don't have the right to change venues and not return the money. You know that because you're a businesswoman. And if you have 2,000 followers and you've been in business 6 years, then you know that you don't have the right to do that. You might want to do that because you don't want to pay $1,500 because you want to keep $1,500. But that doesn't mean that what you're doing is right. And I think you know that it's not right. I'm wondering how it is that you think someone's not going to criticize your business model.
No, Your Honor.
Yep.
If I could just say, it's not that I want to keep her $1,500. Unfortunately,
then you want to limit. Okay, you're the person shaking everything up. A month before her wedding, a month and a half before her wedding, where now what you want her to do is, I'll tell you what, I'm still cooking, I'm still decorating, you find another place, but you can only look at places that let me cook and decorate. Who do you think you are? No. $1,500, verdict for the plaintiff, and on your counterclaim, 0. Plus prejudgment statutory interest since the moment she lost the venue. Because that's the minute when she should have returned your money. Okay? And, of course, your court costs.
Thank you.
So no question about it, the plaintiff prevails. She's going to get her money back. Ms. Paniagua, let me ask you something. Don't you feel bad? She's got to pay for another place, and you're sitting on $1,500 of the money that she needs right now? It's kind of tough.
I feel bad. I've always felt bad. But I'm not sitting on $1,500. I had to do what I needed to do to move my business. And so, it is what it is.
Let me talk to you, Ms. Ascona. So are you okay now? I mean, you found the place. Do you think the wedding's going to be able to come off all right?
I hope so, because I've been getting crazy all these days with all the stress and everything, looking for everything. But I think it's going to come out good. Thank God.
All right, Harvey. Amazing. What do you think?
So, Doug, here's the controlling principle in this case, that if there is a substitution, the substitution has to be reasonable. That is subjective, but in this case, the judge bought what the plaintiff was selling.
Why are people who loan money bound by usury laws, but payday loans and title loans can charge 900% plus?
You hear that type of an interest rate and you go, oh my God, it sounds so outrageous. But really, a payday loan is just an advance on a future paycheck, typically, where I need a 2-week loan. I need $100. I'm going to pay the payday lender $115 in 2 weeks, or whatever it might be. And they do provide a service. They're proper and lawful in about 35 states, I think, 36 states. A few states have banned them. But people are always going to find a way to get credit. And if the payday lender won't provide it, the loan shark will on the street. And if you don't pay back the loan shark... But why is it that the loan
shark is violating the law but not the payday lender?
Because the payday lender won't break your legs if you don't pay back.
So I have to imagine that in those states where it's permitted, that the government's saying, all right, we have a number of people who will lose their home if we don't do this, or lose their phone service, or their car will be repoed. And so we're going to allow this under these circumstances, and they probably regulate it. There's probably regulations about
Absolutely. And they're high-risk loans, and so that's why they have high interest rates, because these are people who probably can't get credit through the bank. And consumer lending, where you used to be able to get loans from banks pretty easily, the government's pretty much crushed that and made it kind of helped to encourage the payday loan industry to spring up, because, as I said, people are always going to find a way to get credit at the end of the day. And that's my 2 cents on the subject. And if you don't pay me by Friday, that's going to be 4 cents. All right, so make sure you make that payment.